Acceptance and overcoming codependency. How do they relate? If you have watched my last video, you will know that I have talked about how to overcome codependency in 4 steps. And today I'm more looking at the first step, acceptance, or you could also say awareness, self-awareness of codependency, of what is going wrong in your relationship, which is not necessarily your personal or intimate relationship. It might as well be a work relationship. It might be a codependent relationship with either your boss or with work colleagues. So don't just think about an intimate codependence relationship. Acceptance is the first step towards inner peace and is crucial on your way to your well-being. Let me tell you my story. If you've watched some of my videos, you might know by now that I have been in a codependent relationship, in a codependent marriage for 23 years. It took me a long time to realize that I can actually change my situation. I know I was unhappy for a very long time, but all I was doing was blaming my husband for controlling me. For example, just to give you a little example, I wasn't allowed to go out for coffee with some moms of the schools after dropping off the children off in the morning. If I did go for coffee, I had to lie. But anyway, all I was doing was blaming. And the real change happened when a girlfriend pointed out that something was seriously wrong in my relationship. And let me tell you that awareness or accepting that fact that something was wrong with my relationship was a very hard one to take. It was very hurtful, and to me it was like looking from the outside at somebody else's life. I couldn't even identify myself with what I was looking at all of a sudden. Once I had that acceptance, I was in shock. I couldn't believe that was my life I was looking at, because even though I knew I wasn't happy, I didn't think it was such a catastrophe, such a disaster. So with the moment that I accepted the fact that something was wrong, I actually took the first step towards my healing. Because with the acceptance of the fact that something was wrong, I was able to gather my thoughts and I was able to work out a plan on what I was going to do to have a better future, to be happier in the future, a plan towards the future self that I wanted to see for myself. How does the Cambridge Dictionary define acceptance? Well, all they're saying is that it is a general agreement that something is satisfactory or right. And of course we could say it's a general agreement that something is wrong. In the sense of codependency, we are of course talking about something being wrong. So at that point, I'd like to ask you, is there something that you are aware of that you would have to accept to have a better life? And if you're not quite sure, I'd like to offer you my help, because like I said before, I had my girlfriend pointing it out to me, because by myself I would have never realized. Even though I knew something was wrong, I wouldn't have ever gotten out of that situation. And why that would not have been the case is because there is something like above the line thinking and below the line thinking. And let me tell you, the way I was behaving in my relationship, I was clearly thinking below the line, because I was blaming my husband for everything that went wrong. I was blaming him for controlling me, for verbally abusing me. I was complaining about the situation, and in general I can say I was denying the fact that something was wrong. So I was totally below the line with my thinking. And if I kept thinking like that, I would still be in that relationship, and now 13 years later I would say there might be even a chance that I was sick, because denying yourself and denying who you really are for such a long time and living a lie is so energy robbing that your body would be exhausted and turning towards illness after such a long period of time. So luckily my thinking was above the line. So above the line thinking is when you take responsibility. And the first step to doing that is acceptance. That's what we are talking about today. Accepting the circumstances, then looking at it from the outside and thinking, how can I change it? So taking responsibility for what is happening in your life. And it's also being uncomfortable with changing your circumstances, having the courage to stepping out of your comfort zone. And I can tell you that's a huge one. For me, stepping out of that comfort zone was, I think, the major thing that held me back from doing so for such a long time, because I lost my financial security, I lost a beautiful family home, and I had to think about what is going to happen with the children. But let me tell you, it was so worth it. So if there is anything in your life that you think, I better accept that fact, because then I'm able to look at it in a different way and find a way on how to solve this. Think about what could that be. And imagine if you are in a situation where things are not quite rosy, what would happen if nothing changed and if it stayed the same way as it is now? What would you look like in a year's time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time? Because if nothing changes now, then unless you are growing and learning and doing some self-development, some personal growth, unless you're doing all of these things, nothing is going to change in 10 years' time. So what would life look like for you then? Whereas if you made the first step now, which is accepting that something needs to change and working out a plan on how that could be, what would life be like in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years time? If you can live a happy, fulfilled life and find your true inner self again, oh my goodness, what would life look like for you then? And like I said before, if you're having trouble finding that out for yourself, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me, because trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I've been there, done that, and I've made it my mission to help people like you to overcome that fear, to make that first step out of your comfort zone, to find the courage and the self-worth and the self-love, most importantly. So with that thought, I'm leaving you for today. Have a great week and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Take care.